Masechta Zevachim Daf Kuf Yud Amud Aleph. We're starting from Amud Rava, the second line from the top. So yesterday we concluded, Rava concluded that the Mishnah and the Braisa are both talking about keteiros that was burnt in the Heichal. And with this keteiros, kezayis alone is needed, and therefore one who is makter a kezayis bachutz, he's chayiv for being mad bachutz. So what's the machlokes in our Mishnah? It says in the case where he put in half of a pras, two chatzoi pras in the keli, in the kli sharis, in the kli that's designated for it, and Rabbi Elazar holds putting two chatzoi pras in a keli is kevei the shear. That's the shear that you need, and therefore, if he burns outside less than that shear, he's not going to be chai for ma'ila b'chutz. But the Achamma hold la milsehi that it's not any putting it into the klishas doesn't establish it as the shear. A kezayis is enough, and if he's ma'ila b'chutz a kezayis, he's going to be chai. Now, according to the Mandamah, the Chacham will say that placing the filling up the keli doesn't make it the shear. How about kava shisha lugim? If he filled it up with 6 lugim for lipar, for a par, it says somebody's makav behema for a eila or a shlamim or a mitzeda that brings a chatas or asham. With it, he has to bring yayin for nisach, for libation. And the shear of yayin that's needed to be brought with the kabbanis is 6 lugim if the animal is a par, 4 lugim if it's a ayil, and 3 lugim if it's a lamb. So here he brought 6 lugim for a par. Mashmahem abba. He took out 4 lugim. He kept machutz and he was makav outside. Chayiv is going to be chayiv for ma'ila b'chutz, akravas achutz, for the sacrificing outside the azada. Because Shedeuyin, even though it's not 6 lugin, it's only 4 lugin, but Shedeuyin, 4 lugin are fit, little ayil, for a ram. It's for a part that you need 6, but for ayil, 4 is enough. Kava, Abba, ayil, let's say he filled it up with 4 lugin for ayil, Mashmem Shleish, and he took out 3 lugin, he came bachutz and he's makav outside. Chayiv is going to be chayiv for being ma'il bachutz, for burning outside. Because Shedeuyin, 3 lugin are fit, lekeves for a lamb. But if chasu, but of the shleish lugin that was missing, even a kol shehu, or even a drop, we keep machutz and was marking outside. Potter is going to be chay a potter, for even though he's ma'il b'chutz, he's not going to be chay for it. Ravashi Yama Be'emes Machlekes now Mishnah is talking about by keteiros that they were makter, that they burnt a Yom HaKippurim b'kodesh HaKadoshim. And everybody agrees that b'fnim, you're not yotzer with this keteiros less than the malei chafna, a full fist. There you need a full fist. They're arguing b'negei taktaras chutz. If we can learn that if we can learn the shear of chiyuv by keteiros chutz from the shear of the chiyuv of keteiros that they were marked every day in the Heichal. L'mashal, if they took the Malay Chafna, which is usually done, the shear in Kodesh Kedoshim, and they only took a kezayis of that, and they were marked it outside the Azara, should we learn out that that's enough to be chayiv from Haktara Bachutz, the Haktara in the Heichal, which was done every day? You're going to ask, how could you learn out Haktara's Pnim from Haktara's Chutz? If we just said, if you can't learn chutz michutz, for sure you shouldn't be able to learn apnim from chutz. So he says, no, this is not But the reason why you can't learn out, that's different because nisuch, libations, and aktor and burning, that the chacham don't learn out one from the other. The shear, that's mechayv for nisuch, from a shear of aktor. Afagav the chutz michutz. Even though it's a limit, something that's done on Mizbeich HaChitzon and something that's on the Mizbeich HaChitzon, but it's 2 different categories, so you cannot learn out one from the other. Aktar v'Aktar Yalfi, but if it's Aktar v'Aktar, even though Afagav, the Pnim and Chutz, even though you want to learn out Pnim and Chutz, but it's both hektaras. So therefore, we can learn out that even if it's a kezayis, just like in the heichal, it's for doi. A kezayis, the hektar, the one that they were makta every day, the containers in the heichal, it was the shir of a kezayis. And if you would be makta outside, even though this shir kezayis is coming from Pnim with the Shir's Malay Chafna, we'll learn out that it's still going to be Chayiv for Aktar's Chutz. In Mishnah, we learn the Kul Shechasu, if it was missing Kol Shu and he was Makar B'Chutz, he's going to be Pater. Bailo, the Gemara asked the Shaila, Chesam D'Chutz, if there was a Chesam, in one of the cases that the Mishnah said, if he took it outside the Azara, Shmei Chesam, is it a Chesam? We're talking about now, where did the Chesam happen? In the Chutz, not out inside. He brought out a complete carbon outside, and then there was a chesadon. Part of it is missing. So is it considered as a chesadon, and therefore he'll be part of hakdars v'chutz? Or it's not going to be considered as a chesadon since he came out with a complete carbon. So therefore, if he was mila, the rest of the carbon, or even though it's missing some, he'll be chayv because he came out with the whole thing. And now the Gemara is going to explain. Do we say, even in the Nafak, he passed the moment that the carbon went out, he was already passel. So therefore, and nevertheless, the Torah was mechayiv for halas machutz. So mali chas mali yas. What's the difference? If there's an additional iser of chaser, or it remains shalom. The Pearl Mamish, you said that for the mere fact that it's yotza, and you're going to be chayv halas v'chutz. So what's the difference if it's chaser yotza? If it's missing or it's complete, it's still going to be chayv because you're depending it on the main thing is the psul yotza. We say the carbon that was complete. And that's the psul happened. That's the only time in that we say yes, he's going to be chayv hakravas chutz of the leis ve'inay. But if the whole behema is not kaim when you took it outside, it came out as a chas lechatchila. Loi, the Torah didn't teach us that you're going to be chayv for hakravas b'chutz, because maybe the psul of chesadon is more overrides the psul of yetza. Abaye said, Tashma, come in here, and I'll bring you a raya. Rabbi Elazar poita achi Yaakov eskulam. Rabbi Elazar patters for halas b'chutz till he's makif the whole thing, meaning he's not going to be chayiv unless it's a complete carbon. Amle Rabba by Rav Chanan, Rav Chanan said to Rabbi Rabbi Elazar Pashit Mar. You want to answer yourself in the words of Rabbi Elazar? It's the chadavar Pashit. That Rabbi Elazar holds that you need the whole carbon to be chayiv. The whole suffix was only in the Das Chachamim. And according to Rabbi Elazar, there was never a shayla because Rabbi Elazar said you need the complete carbon. So there was no even shayla to have a suffix there. So the mother Amalei Abai said back to Rabbi Befeida Shemiyalei. He says the kavanah was that explicitly I heard from Rav these are following words: Ad kan loitligi Rabbanon alei Rabbi Elazar. Till here the Chacham do not argue on Rabbi Elazar the Yisa B'Einai. Only in a case where the carbon is complete. Aval b'chesadon. But if in a case where the carbon is missing, Meidelei the Chacham Ma'ameidet Ma'alei B'Chutz is going to be potter. Lav is it they're not talking about that Rav Kavanah was to a case the Chas B'Chutz. That where did it appear missing? Only when it was brought out completely outside, and there it became missing. Says the Gemara, the Chas B'Fnim. We could say that the carbon was nechsa inside the Hazara, and only afterwards did they bring it outside. So this son doesn't pater the Ma'ila B'Chutz. So the Gemara tries to bring a raya from a similar raya from the Hemshech of the Mishnah. Tashma, I'll bring a raya where kulam shechasu, everybody is in agreement shechasu b'chutz potter, that it was missing and it was making b'chutz, he's potter. Lav, isn't that not talking about the chas b'chutz? that where did it become missing? Outside the Hazara. Meaning it was taken out completely as a complete animal out of the Hazara, and only later did it become a Chesaron. Says Gemara Loi, the Chasam B'fnim. It's Nishkanayah from the Mishnah, because you could say the missing, it became missing already from inside the Hazara. And only in such a case will the Chachamim say, Makriv B'chutz is going to be Potter. But if it was Nechsa B'chutz, it was brought out complete, and only outside it became Nechsa. So then he'll be chayiv for being Makriv B'chutz, because a Chesan B'chutz is not going to be considered as a Chesan. Makriv Kadashim B'chutz chayiv. Somebody is Makriv Kachim, meaning the meat with the fats outside, he's chayiv. So the meat, even the meat, what we want to be, what we are looking into, and our focal point is on the emunim. If you are, the emunim is the one that you have to be makir. So if you're makir b'chutz, you're going to be chayiv. In fact, why should it be chayiv for the hakravas hamurim together with the basa? Va'ikar chatzitza. When you're being makir the emurim and there's basa in between the emurim and the fire, the maracha, so there's a chatzitza, and so, which is not really lakrava when there's a chatzitza. It's talking about that he turned it upside down, meaning the meat was on the top and the fats was on the bottom, so the fats was directly on the fire. Rabbi Yochanan will say, we could even say that it wasn't turned over. There was a chatzitza. He says, "V'amani, who's the Mishnah following? Rabbi Shimon. He says we don't follow the normal guidelines, because we say that even if he burnt it on a stone, not on a mizbeach, you're going to be chayiv. So we don't follow all the guidelines. So therefore, the din of chatzitza is not required either. I mean, that there shouldn't be a chatzitza is not required either." Rav says, "B'chal, basa, and emurim is not a chatzitza because it's of the same min. Min is not a chatzitza." Zog the Heilige Mishnah, mincha shaloi nikmitza, a mincha that they didn't take off a kmitza, v'ikrim b'chutz, and they were makriv outside. Potter, he's potter because before the kmitza it's not roi la'akrava. So therefore, if he did it outside without a kmitza, it wasn't roi la'akrava. It's not going to be chayav. But if he made a kmitza, the chazak comes l'seicha, and the kmitza ended up back into the rest of the mincha, and then he was makiv the whole mincha with the kmitza b'chutz outside. Chayiv is chayiv because if he would have been makiv the same way, the whole mincha, when the kmitza fell back into the mincha, and he would have been makiv the whole thing on the fire, he would have been yotzer yedei chavasa. Why should the one that's being maked, the kaimis together with the shiyari mincha, with the mouth over the mincha, be chayiv levatel shirayim lekaimitz? Let the shirayim be mevatel lekaimitz b'reiv, and we'll make it as if there's no kmitza because a bit of a reiv. So it's as if the kmitza doesn't exist at all, and so it's not shaykh to be maked by chutz, because it's not shaykh to be maked with him. Amar Rabbi Zera said, "Never aktara b'kaimitz." It says the word aktara by kaimitz. It says v'kamitz b'hikta. Never aktara b'shirayim. It says the word aktara by shirayim, that it says loy saktin v'meni shlasha, and ma aktara kaimitz. Just like the aktara sakaimitz, if it got mixed up, two menachis, two kmitzas of two menachis, and one was bigger than the other, the one kaimitz is not mevatel its friend. Just like what we find by the Pavas of Yom Kippurim, that the bloods are both, they would mix it together. But the par has much more blood than the sar. Nevertheless, we said they would spray the 8 times, one lamaila, the Vishav lamata, by side for the par, side for the sar. Most of the blood is the par. We still say he's yetzer of both. So too, by the minute, we don't say one is mevatel the other. So too here, kmitza is not mevatel the other kmitza, and so too by us. In our case, af haktar shirayim, when the kmitza fell back in the shirayim, ain't shirayim mevatel mishakimitz. The shirayim won't be mevatel, nullify the kimitz. Sagt the Mishnah, sagt the Heilige Mishnah, kimitz v'alavoyno shehi yikriv esach memachutz. but it was a mincha that you had to, in order to be matir the rest of the mincha, you would have to be makriv, burn the kometz and the spice. If he did it outside, one of them outside, whether he did the kometz or the levine he burned outside, chayiv is going to be chayiv. Rabbi Elazar part still he's makiv also the second. There's no chiyuv and there's no heter for the hakrava. It doesn't become raya until you makiv both. But if it was echad b'fnim, he was makiv one inside, and the second one he did outside, chayiv is going to be chayiv because that's the gemar hakrava of the carbon. The kapar is totally in that second part, but he did it outside, so he's going to be chayiv. Zog the Mishnah Shneiz the 2 cup spoons of spices that was by the lechem upon him that you had to burn in order to be matir the lechem upon him. He was making one outside. Chayiv is chayiv. Rabbi Elazar part is it because it doesn't become mutter the lechem upon him till you mark them both. So therefore, it wasn't royal covered by one. Therefore, he's not going to be chayiv for the first one being burning outside. How about that? One was on the inside, one was on the outside. Chayiv, according to everybody, is going to be chayiv because that's the gemar of the hakrava, and meaning the gemar of burning to be matir the lechem upon him. But Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha is the kasha. How about koinetz, somebody who burns the koinetz itself without the levina manas to be matir half of the mincha? Should I say that koinetz represents half and the levina represents the other half of the mincha to become mutter? Should I say Misha Shari, it's mamish matri the gamri, half of the mincha, just by burning the kmitza, or really it goes on the whole mincha? It's just weakening the iser. So you want to leave the man according to which Tana was Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha Shaila. If it's according to Rabbi Meir, it can be. Rabbi Meir says that in this case itself, very similar. If somebody had pigul only by the kmitza, not by the levina, the kmitza in itself, having the raw, having in mind to eat it chutz lizmana makes it pigul even by the kmitza itself. So you have to say Mishnah Shari that he has to hold that kmitza alone was enough to be matir legamri. If not, there's no din of pigul because it's not the davar hamatir. Like by zikas dam, that's matir the whole the behemoth to be eaten. That's, and if he had a machshava chutz lizmana, that will be mechayven for pigul because that's something that was the davar matir. Here too, the davar matir has to be even by kmitza alone is being matir, and that's why if he had machshavas pigul, it will be pigul. But here, if it's according to Rabbanan, the Rabbanan hold no. If it's only a chatzi matir like the kmitza, and you still have to burn the levina, and you had a machshavas pigul by one of them, it's not going to be pigul. So there's no loy mishashar. It's nothing. It's not being matir. And it's not weakening the issue because you say you did half of the heter. No, it's zero. And you have no shiloh whatsoever. Or rather, it goes according to Rabbi Elazar, the shiloh of our Mishnah. It says there's no chiyuv for burning a haktaras chutz of the kmitza on its own without the levina. That's what Rabbi Elazar holds. So there, Rabbi Yitzchak, the suffix of Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha was maybe he'll be made by the Haktaras HaKometz Bifnim, helps to be matir a chelik of the Shiyari HaMincha. Rabbi Elazar, so 1 minute. So Rabbi Elazar says that he's not going to be chayiv at all. So obviously Rabbi Elazar can have others for the lay. Rabbi Elazar will hold like the Chacham Dama, Ein Mefag Mechatzi Matir. You can be mefagel something that's only a half a heter, so therefore, that's why Rabbi Elazar now Mishnah holds that if it's only he burned the kmitza, it's zero. He's not going to be chayiv. So it's a davar hapashut. So if he holds like the chamim, it's zero. It's not becoming mutter the half. It's not being mata anything, and it's not weakening anything. Ella, rather, the suffix alid rabbanan and the hacha. According to Chacham Aval Mish, that's mechayiv. If he just burning the kmitza, or just burning the levina on its own, without one without the other. According to Chachamim, say he's going to be chayiv aktaras hachutz. So so here he was mistapik. Why will he be chayiv just on one? Lamai, for what reason? Is it mishra shari because the kmitza is matik mamish completely half, or the levina burning the levina is mata half, or kolish muklish, or it goes on the whole mincha that half became mutin. Now the isa became much weaker, and because it has an effect that it was able to make it weaker, so therefore there is the din of pigul. Teiko. The shaila stays, and we don't have answer. One who sprays the damakam, even if he sprayed just mixas, he gave only one matan b'chutz, meaning even by chayiv, he's going to be chayiv. Even by kabbanis that the blood has to be placed on the mizbeach hapnimi, that every corner, it has to be put on every corner, and one matana is missing. One matana is ma'akiv. Nevertheless, he says, but if he did one matana outside, he's going to be chayiv. Meaning that even by chatas pnimi, kabbalah is that the blood goes on the mizbeach hapnimi, that the matana has to go directly on every corner, and if it's missing one corner, it won't help to be mechaper. But if you did one matana outside, you're going to be chayiv. Even if he pours the water, which is l'shem nisach hamayim on Chag HaSukkos, he poured it outside. The Chag. Bachutz, he did it on Sukkos, and he spilled the water outside. Chayiv is chayiv. Even the remnants, leftover dam that goes usually into the base of the yisod of the mizbeach, instead of putting in the yisod sheik bachutz, he was making bachutz. Chayiv is going to be chayiv because according to Rabbi Nechemia, shvichas of the shiyari adam into the yisod is ma'akiv the carbon. He holds that it's part of the avodah. Rabbi Lazar agrees by if he was zedek part of the blood bachutz, even though according to his opinion you're not chayiv on a chelik which is mata bachutz, but by zikas dam he's made that you're chayiv for zikas dam even on one matana. Even by such a chatas pnimi is that you have to put on each corner in order to be mechuper. For we had learned in the Mishnah and again such a case where the blood was poured of one of these chatas hapnims b'yom kippurim. It was fell down. It fell. Let's say fell on the floor. He did only one matana, and you had to do 8 matanas. So what do you have to do? You have to bring another carbon to do the rest of the bloods. So let's say he did 1 lamaila and 2 lamata, and he has to do another 6 lamata. So he says you don't start all over again. He starts off humaschel from the makam shepasak, from where he ended off. So if he did 1 and he lost and all the blood spilled out, you shech another carbon, and you do just 7 lamata. Or if you did 1 lamaila and 2 lamata, so then you have 5 lamata that you have to do. You just continue 5 lamata. You don't stop at the beginning. So since he says it's a continuation, so you see it has an effect. The blood still has an effect. Even 1 spray of dam has an effect. So therefore, if you did it bachutz, you're going to be chayiv. Even one who spills the water of the nisachai mayim outside on sukkis, he's going to be chayiv. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Menachem Yutfah. This Hayrav Rabbi Lazar B'shitz Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Amra. He said in the Shita of Rabbi Akiva, his teacher, the Amar that Rabbi Akiva had said, "Shenis Chamayim Midaraisa is Midaraisa." According to his Shita, Rabbi Lazar says Chayiv on Nis Chamayim Bachutz because Nis Chamayim is Minatera. Where do we see that? The Tanya. For we had learned in Rabbi Raisa, Rabbi Akiva Ima, by Eilis HaTomid. On the 6th day of Sukkot, it says, Unisa Cheha, plural. From this, the Torah that used the Nusacha, Lashon Rabin, we learn out, Bishnei Nisuchim Akos Medaber. The Torah is talking about two nisuchim, echad nisach hamayim, echad nisach hayayin. One of nisach hamayim and one of nisach hayayin. Amalei Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan. Reish Lakish said to Rabbi Yochanan, if it's like your words that Rabbi Elazar learns that the mitzvah of nisach hamayim is from unesacha, plural. So if so, in this pasuk, you have nisach hamayim and nisach hayayin compared to each other. So you can learn out mala halam. Just like by nisach hayayin of ha'ilus hatamid, you have to do shleisha lugin, 3 lugin. Avkam by nisach hamayim, you should need shleisha lugin because you're learning out from unesacha, which is like a hekesh. You're comparing the nisach hamayim to the nisach hayayin. Well, Rabbi Elazar me'achar kama. Rabbi Elazar in our Mishnah said, "Hamanasach me'chag bachutz." He's going to be, if he spills out the water of the nisach hamayim outside on Sukkot, is mashma. Even if it was less than 3 looking, you're going to be chayiv.
Just look at this for a second.
And lechayda should have been 3 looking. We should have learned that with a hekesh. And for the Gemara,
Please listen to him.
I'm sorry. If it's like your words that Rabbi Elazar learns out the mitzvah of this hamayim from the word unesacha, so we should learn out mala halam just like by nisach hayayin yechayiv for nisach bachutz b'shayim eis hashana on all the other days of the year. Avkam by nisach hamayim, he should be chayiv for nisach bachutz b'shayim eis hashana even throughout the rest of the year. We have Elazar b'chakama, and Elazar said the only time you're going to be chayiv from this hamayim is only on Sukkot. So Reish Lakish concludes it escaped from Rabbi Nachman Yutfa Hadam this that Abasi had said. Rabbi Yochanan that Abasi had said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Nechunya Ish because basically that the heter of plowing a field of esnet tiyes of 10 saplings that are spread out in a share of a beisad, which is 50 amas separated equally from each tree. Normally by Shvi is already 30 days. You have to be meisiv, and you have to start already. The Shvi is the halachas of Shvi is already by Erev Shvi is 30 days before Rosh Hashanah of the 7th year. But by these saplings, these 10 saplings of a beisah, which has 50 feet between each other, is halach l'meish misinai, that you don't have to start from 30 days before. And the same thing with the Arava in the Beis Hamikdash, that he tells you the Aravis in the Beis Hamikdash. So when again to the Aravis, there was shitas how the procedure or the ceremony of the Aravis were performed in the Beis Hamikdash. So the Gemara Sukkah brings 2 shitas. One says that it was according to some that the Aravis were placed against the wall of the Mizbeach, and the Kahanim would circle the Mizbeach carrying the Lulavim. They were carrying the Dalad Minin. According to others, they circled the Mizbeach carrying the Aravis, and then put them against the wall of the Mizbeach. And the third one was nisach hamayim. So nisach hamayim, what we're talking about, and so all these cases were halach l'meish misinai. So with this we can answer the shaila, why wasn't it 3 lugin? Because we don't learn it from unsacha, from the lugin that it says together with the lugin of yayin. No, it's halach l'meish misinai. Being that's halach l'meish misinai, it has its own share. We don't have to learn out from yayin. And the same thing, why wasn't it done every day? It was halach l'meish misinai. We're not learning out from unusacha that there it says the yayin together with the mayim. No, we're learning it out from this that it was halach l'meish misinai. Zaki maratan rabban rabban amilad hamanasir shloish lugim mayim b'chag b'chutz chay. Somebody who spills the 3 lugin of mayim, he pours the 3 lugin of water outside during Sukkot. If he filled the keli meaning the Kli Shadis for the purpose of Sukkis, then he's going to be chayiv. What is the difference? Meaning, what's the machlekes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon? Says the Yimar, Rav Nachman, Rabbi Yitzchak, b'yei shir b'mayim. If there is a shear of water, meaning that's what they're arguing about. The Tanakama says, Menasich shleisha lugim, if he pours 3 lugim of water, he's going to be chayiv. But the same thing will apply even if it's more. Even though he filled it up with more, it's still going to be chayiv. And Rabbi Elazar argues, no, dafka, if it's dafka 3 lugim, then the kli is mekadesh the water. But if he filled the water with a bigger amount, then the kli is not mekadesh it, because it has to be specifically 3 lugim. That's how he learns the machlekes. Papa Amar, Papa says, so Papa says that they're arguing whether the Zevachim, the libations, was offered in the midbar. Rabbi Elazar says that the Zevachim were not offered in the midbar, and the Tanakama holds that they were. So according to Papa, everybody agrees for sure that the yayin, the libation of water, has to be 3 lugim. Okay, and the benegeta kli shadis. So firstly, you have to know that a kli shadis cannot be mekadesh more than the amount of 3 lugim. However, the Tanakama holds that one is chayiv for throwing the water outside, even if the water even if the water that he spilled outside wasn't put into a kli shadis. And therefore he says simply that one who throws the 3 lugim outside is going to be chayiv. But Rabbi Elazar argues, and he says that he's not going to be chayiv unless it went in the water entered first the kli shadis, and therefore says that one is not going to be chayiv if the water was placed in a keli for the purpose of Yom Tov. Then he's going to be chayiv, meaning in a kli shadis. Rabbi Elazar was arguing with the Chachamim because Rabbi Elazar says there was no Nesachim in the midbar at all. It was only in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. So, according to Tanakama, who says there were Nesachim even in the 40 years of the midbar, so over there was no kli shadis there. So therefore, the Tanakama will hold that if he poured out the water without a kli shadis, he's still going to be chayiv. But if he did nischamayim, but according to Rabbi Elazar, not, because Nesachim were not done. And the Nesachim were not done in the midbar until the Beis HaMikdash was built. And even according to the Chachamim, it was only by a private bama that they had Nesachim. So that's the machlekes. So according to Tanakama, that they did Nesachim even the 40 years of the midbar without a kli shadis, so you're going to be chayiv. According to Rabbi Elazar, there was no Nesachim. Nesachim is only when in a time there was a kli shadis. So therefore, outside of the Hazara, it was done without a kli shadis, he's going to be pater. Ravina Amar V'Lomeidin Hamayim Min Nischa Yayin Pligi. They're arguing if you learn out Nischa Mayim from Nischa Yayin, because Nisuch Hayayin is the only place where Rabbi Elazar said that there was a union of Nesachim by the Bamis. Everybody again now, according to this answer, everybody will agree that there was Nesachim in the time of the Midbar by the private Bamis. But what are they arguing about? That was all said by the Nischa Yayin, by Nischa Mayim, which was not done by a private bama. It was done in public, the Nischa Mayim by Sukkah's time. So it might have a completely different thing. We don't learn it out from Nischa Yayin, that even without a kli shadis would be good. Maybe by Nischa Mayim you would need a kli shadis. That's what they're arguing, if you should learn Nischa Mayim from Nischa Yayin.